Hey everyone, welcome to Reality TV News Update, the place where we bring you the latest updates, fun moments, and behind-the-scenes stories you won't want to miss. The studio lights were cold, but the tension was hot as Hollis finally stepped into the spotlight after Big Brother ended. For weeks, fans had waited for her to speak, and when she did, the impact was instant. Panaro had dominated headlines since the finale, but Ashley chose this moment to take back the narrative. She stood calm and steady, with eyes locked forward and a voice that carried years of bottled frustration. She did not scream and she did not cry. She simply told the truth as she lived it. And the truth hit harder than any shout ever could. Ashley began by explaining how the game changed her and how the house revealed sides of people she never expected to see. She described Vince as charming in public and cold in private. Inside the house, she said he learned how to play people with smiles and promises that vanished the moment the cameras shifted. She spoke about moments that never aired, where she felt isolated and misled. The audience listened in silence, and social media exploded as each sentence landed with force. Fans who once defended Vince began to question everything they thought they knew. She revealed how, after the show ended, Vince quickly tried to control the story. He posted carefully edited photos and vague captions that painted him as the victim. Ashley said she stayed quiet at first because she believed the truth would surface on its own. But as rumors spread and narratives twisted, she realized that silence only protected the wrong person. That realization gave her the strength to speak openly, even if it meant facing backlash. What followed was a detailed account of emotional manipulation and broken promises that left many viewers stunned. Ashley described a night near the end of the season when she confronted Vince about alliances he denied having. He laughed it off and told her she was imagining things. Days later, she watched the episode and saw him admitting everything in the diary room with a smile. That moment, she said, broke something inside her. Not because of the lie alone, but because of how easily he dismissed her feelings. For many watching, it felt like a familiar story of gaslighting played out under the brightest light of reality television. The internet reacted with lightning speed. Old clips resurfaced, and fans dissected every glance and conversation. Hashtags supporting Ashley climbed the trending charts within hours. Meanwhile, Vince posted a brief statement claiming he was misunderstood and that the game required deception. But his words felt hollow against the wave of detailed experiences Ashley shared. The difference between strategy and betrayal became the center of debate. And for the first time, Vince was no longer controlling the conversation. Former house guests began to speak up as well. Some admitted they had seen uncomfortable moments, but felt unsure how to address them during the chaos of the game. Others said they too felt misled by Vince and now understood Ashley better. Each new voice added weight to her story. The narrative shifted from isolated conflict to a pattern of behavior. With every interview, Ashley gained strength and clarity. She no longer sounded like someone seeking validation. She sounded like someone reclaiming power. Vince attempted damage control with a long video apology. He said he was sorry if anyone was hurt and that pressure made him act in ways he did not recognize. Ashley responded not with anger, but with quiet certainty. She said accountability was not about saying the right words, but about accepting real consequences. She stated that apologies without change were just performances. That single statement was quoted across every platform and became a defining line of the season after the season. Behind the scenes, Ashley's life began to transform. Brands reached out, not because of drama, but because of her strength and honesty. Fans sent messages thanking her for speaking up. Many said her story helped them process their own experiences with manipulation in relationships and friendships. Ashley acknowledged every message she could and often reminded her supporters that healing was not instant, but it was possible. The girl once edited into a background storyline became a central voice in the conversation about respect and self-worth. Vince, however, found his opportunities shrinking. Events quietly removed his name from guest lists, and collaborations were paused without explanation. Public opinion had shifted in a way that could not be easily reversed. For someone who thrived on control, this loss of influence was devastating. He posted less, and when he did, the engagement was filled with hard questions. Every attempt to pivot to positivity was met with reminders of what Ashley had said. The internet does not forget easily, and this time it chose sides. The most powerful moment came during the reunion special. Ashley and Vince sat on opposite sides of the stage. When asked directly if he denied her claims, Vince hesitated. That pause spoke louder than any statement ever could. Ashley looked at him without hatred, without fear, and without regret. She told him she no longer needed him to agree for her truth to be valid. The audience erupted in applause, and that sound closed the chapter more cleanly than any argument ever could. In the end, Ashley Hollis did not destroy Vince Panaro with insults or revenge. She did it with honesty and the courage to speak when silence would have been easier. She showed that power does not always look loud, and that strength can be calm and steady. Big Brother gave them both a platform, but only one of them used it to grow. As the season fades into history, the story that remains is not about strategy or betrayal alone. It is about a woman who chose herself, and in doing so, changed how the whole world watched the game. The studio lights came on. Ashley Hollis stood at the center of a storm she no longer feared. The season of Big Brother had ended, but the real battle was only beginning. For weeks, Vince Panaro had shaped the narrative around himself, painting a story where he was clever, misunderstood, and wronged. Ashley had stayed silent through it all, watching the headlines twist and turn. But silence was no longer protection. It was a weight she was ready to drop. When Ashley finally spoke, her voice was steady and clear. There was no shaking in her hands and no anger in her tone, only truth. She spoke of late nights in the house when trust was promised and broken in the same breath. She described how Vince built alliances with charm and humor, while quietly tearing people down when it suited his game. She did not attack him as a villain. She exposed him as a pattern. That difference changed everything. Fans who had once defended Vince felt the ground shift beneath them. Clips resurfaced from the season, showing moments that once seemed harmless, now painted with new meaning. A smile that lingered too long. A joke that landed too sharply. A whisper in the dark that became a betrayal by morning. Ashley's story gave context to the chaos. The internet moved fast, but this time it moved with purpose. Ashley revealed that after the finale, Vince reached out not with apology but with strategy. He wanted to align stories to soften the fallout. She refused. That refusal was the spark that lit the fire. Instead of protecting his image, she chose to protect her truth. She spoke of emotional manipulation, of being made to doubt her instincts, and of being told she was too sensitive when she questioned his lies. Each word landed heavy because it echoed the experiences of so many watching. Vince responded with a short statement meant to sound calm and reflective. He said the game forced difficult choices and that emotions ran high. He stopped short of taking responsibility. The public saw it instantly. Ashley did not reply with rage. She replied with clarity. She said that strategy ends when the cameras shut off, but impact does not. She said accountability is not weakness, but escape from it is. Former house guests slowly began to add their voices. One by one, they admitted that Ashley's experience matched things they had seen, but never fully understood. They spoke of moments when Vince shifted tones, when cameras moved or alliances changed.
What once looked like isolated incidents now formed a clear thread. The story was no longer about one conflict, it was about a pattern of control. Ashley's social media filled with messages from strangers thanking her for speaking. Some told her that her words helped them leave toxic friendships and relationships. Others said they finally felt seen. Ashley read as many as she could and responded when her heart could handle it. She reminded them that strength often grows quietly before it ever becomes visible. Meanwhile, Vince's presence faded. Brand deals paused, appearances were quietly canceled, interviews became rare. When he did speak, the questions were no longer soft. He tried to pivot to new projects, but the shadow followed. Every comment section held the same question: do you take responsibility? And every time he avoided it, the silence grew louder. The reunion special became the final stage. The room felt electric as Ashley and Vince took their seats on opposite sides. The host asked for honesty and the audience leaned forward. When asked directly about Ashley's claims, Vince paused. That pause stretched longer than any speech. Ashley did not interrupt. She did not need to. The truth stood on its own. When she finally spoke, it was simple. She said she no longer needed validation from the person who caused the harm. She said her healing was not dependent on his understanding. The audience erupted in applause that felt less like celebration and more like release. In that moment, the power shifted completely. After the reunion, Ashley's life moved forward in unexpected ways. Opportunities came not because of scandal, but because of respect. She was invited to speak about navigating public pressure and personal boundaries. She became a quiet symbol of choosing self-worth over chaos. She did not brand herself as a victim. She branded herself as someone who survived and learned. Vince continued to search for redemption in public spaces, but the path required something he still struggled to give: real accountability. Without it, every apology sounded unfinished. Every new venture felt weighted by the past. The game that once rewarded deception now demanded honesty, and it was a skill he had not yet mastered. In the end, Ashley Hollis did not destroy Vince Panaro with rumors or revenge. She dismantled the story he built with truth and resolve. She showed that grace can be stronger than outrage, that silence can be broken without becoming noise, and that sometimes the most powerful move after the game is simply to stand in your truth and refuse to step back. Big Brother ended, as all seasons do, with confetti and cheers, but the real victory was found afterward in the quiet spaces where choices matter more than cameras. Ashley chose herself, and in doing so, she changed the story forever.